Sagittarius, what you're about to read isn't just a message. This isn't one of those fleeting words of encouragement, and it's not a few pretty lines to decorate your morning. This is a message the universe chose to send you, at the exact moment you're ready to receive it. It was written for you, truly for you. And no, you can't take it lightly, because every word here is going to reach the deepest places in your soul. The ones you might not have looked at in a long time, but they've been waiting to be seen. You weren't made to walk the paths already paved. You weren't born to blend in, to play it safe, or to live your life making other people comfortable. You were born of fire, the fire of freedom, of discovery, of desire, and the deep belief that life has a greater meaning, something far beyond what the eye can see. You weren't made in a hurry. You were shaped through time, through challenge, through moments of watching and waking up. And that's what makes you different. Even if it feels lonely sometimes, even if you've had to stand alone, it's still a sacred gift the universe gave to you. Sagittarius, you were given 7 hidden gifts deep within your soul, 7 quiet but powerful forces, 7 flames to help guide you back to who you truly are. These gifts can't be seen with the eyes. They can't be touched with the hands. They live inside you, waiting to be remembered. When you pause in the middle of your never-ending journey and turn inward just to listen, you'll finally understand why you've always felt different. You'll see why you can't stay still for long, why you feel pulled to move, to learn, to love deeply, to believe, even when others are content just surviving. And let me tell you something else. The 7th gift, the final one, can't be described with ordinary words. It's light. It's awakening. It's the reason you came here, and when you touch it, you'll understand why your soul chose this life, why you had to stumble, why you had to lose, just to find yourself again. So take a deep breath, let your mind settle, let your heart open, and don't stop reading until the very end. Gift 1, the intuition of the wanderer. You don't look at the world through fixed lenses. You feel it with your intuition, with your soul, with a kind of inner radar that only you seem to have. Where others see the surface, you see the depth. Where others hear noise, you hear the silence in between. You can sense when something is shifting in the air. Even if no one says a word, you notice the fear behind a brave smile, the lostness behind a loud voice, the ache behind the mask. And no, that's not weakness. That's the strength of sensitivity. Where others judge, you seek to understand. Where others react, you pause and feel, and that kind of presence, that quiet, grounded energy, it's what makes people feel safe just being near you. You're wired to listen without words, to read what's hidden in the silence, to recognize something sacred in the ordinary. And yes, sometimes that hurts, because you see too much, you understand too deeply. But that's also what makes you the light. Wherever you go, someone is always drawn to you, because near you they remember who they are. The 2nd gift, unconditional love. You don't know how to love halfway. When you love, you believe, you commit, you offer your entire soul. You care without being asked. You protect without needing a reason. You show up before anyone even knows they need you. Your love is not dependency. It's instinct. Like fire, you were born to warm others, not to burn them. You love through action. You see people's potential, not their flaws. You believe in the good, even when someone has stopped believing in themselves. And yes, sometimes that breaks your heart, but you still choose love, because it's who you are. There are moments when you feel drained from giving too much. Moments when you feel misunderstood, overlooked, left behind. But your soul knows you don't do it to be recognized. You do it because you can't not love, because love is the only thing that makes you feel truly alive. The 3rd gift, emotional memory and the wisdom of experience. You remember more than you'd ever admit. You remember the look in someone's eyes, their voice, their silence, their touch. Not to hold on, but because every experience leaves a mark. You remember the feeling of departures, of turning points you weren't sure were right. You remember the laughter of someone who once walked through the storm beside you. You remember the sorrow of letting go, and all of it taught you. Every single moment carries a lesson. Your heart doesn't just hold memories. It holds meaning. It holds the story of the journey. And yes, that sometimes makes it harder to move on. But it also makes you deeply real and radically honest. You can't pretend. You can't lie to yourself about what touched your soul, because to you, every experience is a sacred lesson, even the ones that left a scar. And then, when you sit alone in the quiet of night, you realize your memory isn't keeping you stuck. It's guiding you forward. Where others repeat mistakes, you see patterns. Where others forget who they are, you remind yourself of what truly matters. No one gets to define your path except you. If you've made it this far, it means your soul is opening to receive something much greater. Sagittarius, you're not just living, you're evolving. And when you learn to feel, to love, and to remember, with wisdom instead of fear, all doors begin to open. Your memory doesn't trap you, it maps your way forward. A spiritual compass through every test and turning point. Where others rush to forget so they can move on, you pause, you reflect, you understand. Where others keep repeating the same mistakes, you recognize the deeper rhythm. Your memories weren't made to chain you down. They exist to remind you of what you've learned, how far you've come. You don't carry the past to feel sorry for yourself. You carry it to extract the essence of each experience. You don't hold on to pain to keep hurting. You hold it gently, to honor the strength it took to heal. And that is what makes you sharp, wise, and profoundly compassionate. You're not just finding your way, you're becoming someone who can help others find theirs too. The fourth gift, the wisdom of guidance. It doesn't matter who you are, man or woman, young or old. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. You carry a guiding energy within you, clear and steady, as if you were always meant to walk ahead, holding a torch, lighting the way not just for yourself, but for those still finding their path. That instinct, that quiet fire in your soul, it never lets you turn away from someone's pain. Even if they've only just entered your life, you notice, you care, you reach out not from duty, but because it's your nature to lead through compassion. You can feel when someone's spirit is weary. You know when silence is better than words, and when a single sentence spoken once can change everything. You don't fix problems with formulas. You move through intuition with grace and subtlety, present but never loud, grounded yet deeply felt. And even if some people have called you too idealistic, too emotional, you know what's real. You're not here to give others the answers. You're here to awaken the questions that lead them home. Your intuition isn't noisy, but it's always right. When that inner voice whispers, when the feeling rises with no logic behind it, you've learned to trust it, and every time it proves true because you are connected to what can't be seen, to the subtle and sacred layers of life that most people never touch. And this gift, it's not just for you. It's an invisible compass, a sacred tool to help you walk with the world, not as someone who knows everything, but as someone who reminds others to look within. The fifth gift, the power to heal through presence. You're not just a person, you are a space, a sanctuary, a safe field of energy where people can finally take off their armor and breathe. You don't have to speak much, you don't have to make promises. Your presence alone is enough for someone to exhale, enough for someone to open up and tell you the story they've never told. People trust you, sometimes they can't even explain why. They come to you not to be fixed, but to be seen, to feel that they still have value, that there's still hope, that it's never too late to begin again. You don't preach, you don't teach. You've been through the loneliness yourself, nights when no one understood, days when everything fell apart. And because of that, you don't rush to advise. You simply stay long enough for someone to feel understood. You don't demand, you don't push, you don't ask people to be better just to deserve your care. You understand that everyone is fighting their own silent battles. And sometimes, what they need most is simply someone beside them who won't judge. That's why you've become a living source of comfort. Not in grand gestures, but in the smallest things, a glance, a quiet word, your presence in the right moment. And no, you don't need anyone to applaud you for it. But I know it's exhausting sometimes, because you don't just carry your own emotions, you absorb the weight of the people you love. You stay strong, you stay positive, you hold it all together. Until one day you're not sure if you're tired or if you're breaking. Your soul is carrying too much, and you need to know this clearly, deeply. You are not responsible for healing everyone. You are not required to be strong all the time. You don't have to hold up the whole world just to prove the purity of your heart. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to let someone else care for you. You are allowed to melt, to fall apart quietly, to be still. And when you do, you won't lose your light, you'll renew it. Softer, purer, truer. The sixth gift, your inner temple. You may appear like someone who loves movement, who thrives on adventure, exploration, noise, and discovery. But few truly see that beneath it all. There is a vast, silent world within you, quiet and deep like a desert under a midnight sky. You don't need the crowd to feel alive. You don't need applause to feel worthy. You feel most real when you are alone, listening to your heart, reflecting on your journey, writing down the lessons carved into your soul through experience. Moments of solitude don't make you feel empty. They restore you, because silence doesn't scare you, while others run from it. You walk straight into it, and in that stillness you find meaning, direction, and peace. Your inner world isn't lonely. It's alive, full of images, questions, truths, and emotions that never needed to be spoken out loud. You could spend years simply exploring the layers of your own soul. Not to hide, but to understand. Not to escape, but to connect more deeply with what's real inside you. If you see yourself in these words, it's not by chance. Maybe you've given too much, traveled too far, been strong for too long, but even then, you're the one who knows how to return home. Write this down as your act of healing. I allow myself to rest, to be real, and to be me without needing permission. Because while others run outward to escape their feelings, you turn inward to recalibrate your spirit. And when you come back from that sacred quiet, from a silent afternoon by the mountain's edge, from hours spent writing in stillness, from a long journey where it's just you and the world, you bring back treasures no one can teach. Clarity, calm, sharp insight, and a way of seeing that makes others pause and reflect. That's why protecting your inner space matters so much. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone should be allowed to bring their chaos into the peaceful universe you've built inside. Sagittarius, set your boundaries, not just with actions, but with intention. Not just with words, but with frequency. Because when your inner world is cared for, you become a living torch for others. For even you, the sign that loves freedom most, still needs a place in your soul where you can simply be yourself without having to explain or prove anything. And when that space is strong, you grow not from ego, but from the quiet maturity of spirit. And as you rise, everyone around you rises with you. The seventh gift, turning wounds into light. This gift was never given to you in safety. It was given in the wild, in the cracks, in the lonely roads you had to walk when the whole world turned away. It didn't arrive as a skill. It came as a result of every time your heart broke, of every time you trusted and were left behind, of every time you gave more than you received. But instead of building walls, you opened the door wider. You chose to keep loving even when love hurt you. You chose to keep listening even when you were ignored. You chose to keep guiding even after losing your own way. And that, my dear Sagittarius, is something not everyone can do. That is the bravery of a soul who has matured through the fire of real experience. You don't deny your pain, you transform it. You don't erase your scars, you use them as maps. You don't armor your heart to look strong, you let it stay uncovered, so it can touch others without fear of breaking again. You are that person, the one who still believes in the light, even when it's just a faint flicker in the long night. The one who turns every experience into a lesson, every wound into living wisdom. The one who quietly plants hope just by being present. And I know, there are days when you feel unseen. Days when you speak to a world that isn't quite ready to listen, but your soul knows. You are making a difference. You don't need applause. You don't need the spotlight. You just need to live your truth, and the light will spread on its own. You are shining even in the darkest places, not through noise or attention, but through your honesty with yourself. Your strength doesn't come from feeling nothing. It comes from feeling everything and still choosing to keep walking. Sagittarius, you didn't come here just to chase luck. You came here to awaken. And if these words stir something inside your heart, it isn't coincidence. What you just read is a mirror for your soul, not to reflect what you lack, but to remind you of everything that has always lived within you. You are not too emotional. You are not too idealistic. You are not too dreamy. You are a soul that has been roughened by life, yet still chooses gentleness as a philosophy. Now you've discovered your 7 gifts. They aren't random traits or fleeting interests. They are the sacred language the universe speaks through you. A way it touches the world through your existence. Where others grow cold, you stay feeling. Where others run away, you turn back to understand why. Where others let go too quickly, you hold on to what is sacred, to the last fragment of soul that still believes. And once you know who you are, you'll stop pretending to fit. You'll stop shrinking in a world that glorifies numbness. You'll stop apologizing for feeling too deeply, because you came here to live truthfully, to plant the seeds of honesty, to face the darkness without being consumed by it, to bring light to the corners of the soul that others have forgotten. That is your mission, your presence, your gift, and only you can bring it to this world. Write this down to align your soul with itself. I don't need to be hard to prove that I'm strong. I only need to be real, and that is my light. Your sensitivity has never been a burden, Sagittarius. It is your compass, guiding you through landscapes unseen, not out there, but within the human spirit. Your gift to see the invisible, to feel what others cannot name, to touch the fragments they try to hide. That is what makes you rare. It's not weakness, it's soul wisdom. A kind of intelligence that no book can teach, no test can measure. It lives in your blood, in the way you stay silent at the right moment, in the way you say nothing, yet people feel seen. Look back at your path. How many times have you lifted someone with just a few gentle words? How many times have you been the light in another's darkest night? How many times have you quietly fixed someone's compass when they lost direction? And how many times did you forget yourself in the process? How many times did you set your own joy aside so someone else wouldn't fall apart? How many times did you light another's way while dimming a piece of your own flame? But now, this is no longer a story of sacrifice. You didn't come to this world to burn out. You came to shine consciously, to inspire, not to exhaust, to love, not to trade away your aliveness for limitless kindness. You came here to change this world, not through rebellion, but through awareness, through love, steady, conscious, and real, not naive, not fragile, but grounded in the deep knowing of your own worth and the refusal to let anyone mistake your softness for weakness. You are a gentle guide, and you don't need armor to survive. You don't have to harden yourself to exist. Sagittarius, your true essence is so rare that without souls like yours, this world would dry up, because you are the kind who still sees beauty, where others only see flaws, the kind who remembers feelings that were never spoken, the kind who smiles in the dark, not because you're fine, but because you can't bear to see another heart give up. And now, I'm not asking you this as a test. I'm asking you as a calling. What will you do with all of this? Because knowing who you are is never enough. You must live it. Embodied, expressed, carried into every word, every choice, every day, without apologizing for being too sincere, too emotional, too in love with life itself. Your gifts were never meant to stay hidden. They were meant to wake the world, to remind us all that kindness is power, gentleness is strength, and true care is the highest form of love. You are not just a zodiac sign. You are a seed bearer of light, a traveling soul with a healing map written inside you. You are the voice that cuts through the noise, the guide who leads the lost, not by holding them down, but by showing them they've always had wings. You are the symphony between ideals and experience, the quiet flame that keeps glowing in a world that's forgotten how to feel, the awakening in a sea of sleeping minds. And no, you don't need to change to fit in. You only need to live louder so your light can reach farther. So please, don't turn off your heart to protect yourself. Turn it on the way you once lit up someone's entire sky. Set your boundaries with love. Hold yourself the way you've held others for so long, and sit down for a moment. Write a single sentence, like you once did for so many wandering souls. I don't need to be hard to survive. I need to be gentle to be real. And if you've ever wondered why the world doesn't always recognize your light, remember this: real love is never measured by noise. It's measured by depth, by the quiet ways it changes everything. Sagittarius, you've made more difference than you realize. Even if no one says it, even if your name is never spoken, you are already awakening the soul of the world through the truth of your light.